Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of the Dragon Age Ascension or Dragon Age Season 3 Tabletop campaign. We are back for episode number 3, session number 3, and finally are all together in one place in the present time.
It only took 12 hours, guys.
I know. And I did feel bad that I sort of like left you on a cliffhanger just before you're about to intermingle. Because I think you're all single. I think you're all single and ready to mingle.
Yeah, just before the shipping
I think.
started.
Yeah. Everybody's
just
single
before
and
the
ready to
shipping
mingle.
started. You cliffhanged us on the shipping part.
But before we begin, we have our warm-up question. So, the warm-up question for today is, now that you players have had 2 sessions role-playing your character a bit, and you're getting like a feel for how your character works and behaves, how close so far is your character to what you originally envisioned when you first created them? How close or not so close are they?
Well, it's funny because Daretham went through a lot of changes to when I initially thought of him. The initial concept to becoming Daretham. But since I first thought of Daretham, he was definitely a lot. It felt like he would be more depressed and more malleable, I guess is the right word. Because one thing I've noticed, especially in the interview that we did, but even through this, he is pretty steadfast. Like he definitely seems more of a stubborn person, more of like a Maximilian or a Cedric rather than a more no offense, man, but a more like malleable kind of uh, morally changeable character. He's pretty set in his ways, which I expected there to be some point, but I didn't expect there to be as much of it as there is. Beyond that, it's relatively similar, but that's definitely one thing I noticed where I went, this guy is pretty harsh, and that's kind of cool.
So, Pasha, she's relatively similar. She hasn't kicked down any doors yet, but there's still time. Something I wasn't expecting. She's been a lot happier than I thought she would be. She's just kind of had nice times with like her grown-up children, and she hasn't stewed on her emotions quite as much as I thought she'd be doing. So I'm quite surprised by that. So, like, on one hand, I'm very glad she's happy. I'm like, I want my characters to be happy. So I'm glad that she is, but it's not kind of what I thought she'd be doing.
Okay. So what you're saying is that I haven't put you under enough stress yet.
Exactly.
What Hart and me just heard was just like,
all right.
Like, character happiness, blasphemy.
Tyrion, when I did like the audition and the interview also, Tyrion was I found him more to be a calmish person, or that was the initial intention, but when he was a kid and all that, he went for more brooding personality, a little bit more brooding, but then when he got out of it, I think he would still have a little bit of broodness, but I think he might be more nicer. He might be more, not necessarily charming. Not necessarily charming. It's not charming. What's a bit more happy, I guess. Not depressed, not brooding, not. He still has a little bit of that. But when I had the interaction with Narika and the merchant and the whole crew of the caravan, I think that kind of I went. It's best for him to be a little more nicer, a little bit more, not just like this stale guy who's trying to help people out in a calm way, but a little more, having a bit of personality, so to speak, a little more nicer and a little more happy. He's just got off 19 years of prison technically, but yeah. So I definitely saw a change.
I'd say from my audition to like where we are now, a lot had to change to make Russo work with the party. And originally what I saw him as was like more of like the upbeat guy, at least just for appearances. And he really hasn't had the chance to really be that or do any of that yet, because every scene he has been really serious or trying to be more of a mentor figure to his son. And I feel like there's still room for that, but he's definitely become a lot more somber and to the point from what I'd originally seen. But I feel like there's still a little bit more ground before I'm like set in like what he is and everything else.
So what I was thinking, at least at the very beginning, was to have Leon waffle a little bit more. But now, he's just jumping into that blood magic, and I do really like the jump into the blood magic, because it gives him more of a purpose and a character-driven focus. But I was expecting him to do like a little bit more waffling, like maybe, yeah. But
I was curious about that, because he has spent many years growing up in the circle being taught this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is evil. So do you have thoughts on what caused him to not waffle as much with blood magic now that he had access to it?
I think Pyrus's whole personality is a great starting, because he's a talking book, so he's got to have some secrets.
Sure.
But I also think that he's a little bit more driven now to find out what happened to his parents, and that sort of desire to know more is pushing down those moral qualms. But could have some nightmares. Whoa.
Could we have a new recipe in Pyrus' book called the Crimson Waffle?
Yes. I'm gonna sign this petition.
My apologies.
Made with raspberry syrup, because it's blood red.
I'm sorry, guys. My apologies.
You guys are in the midst of merriment, wonder, and awe as you all are exploring the grounds where the big top has been set up and all of the surrounding circus and carnival festivities have started to become alive, which actually is a not unusual for these parts. Antiva especially is known for its value of the entertainment business, and especially during these times, keeping their citizens happy is something that has become a luxury that is very difficult for them to let go of, obviously. So, let us go ahead and zoom in and see what's going on with each of these individual characters. Starting with Pasha, you are with Nathan, and you are surrounded by some very interesting smells. So, and they don't smell unpleasant. Now, I'm sure that you've had your share of different types of food while you're in Parvalin. I'd like to think that when you were in Kirkwall, their cuisine situation was probably not ridiculously more diverse than that. But here, there's like a multitude of dishes of different shapes and sizes and colors and smells. Some are sweet, some are sour, some are spicy, and I don't know if it's a little overwhelming for you, but Nathan seems to be taking all of that in stride. Perhaps he has been more exposed to this kind of stuff, and there are a lot of merchants here that are trying to sell like steak on a steak and cheesecake on a stick, and there are plenty of wine vendors trying to give away a little bit of free samples, just a tiny bit of free samples here and there. What do you do?
I think Pasha she's taking in all of these scents, the spicy smells, and like immediately she's like, home, but we use spicier stuff. This smells bland. And then I think she catches the smell of something sweet, and she's just like, what? And she's gonna
Yeah.
start following her nose to find this sweet smell.
Nathan doesn't notice immediately that you left his side, and he turns around, noticing that you were like already probably like a dozen feet away from him, and he says, "Oh, we're going this way." "Okay, we're going this way," he says as he walks towards you, and I'm going to say that, Pasha, that when you reach the stall where the smell is coming from, it is a bakery front, and the specific thing that you smelled were spiced. Well, I don't think you know what this object is called, but out of character, they are spiced cookies. Not that you would know what a cookie is. They're like biscuits, but like, they're like bread.
I wonder what a reference that is to.
I wonder what that reference is.
I don't know. I don't know.
She's gonna point at them, and she's gonna be, "What are these? Nathan, what are these?"
Those? Oh, they're cinnamon spiced cookies. And those are ginger snaps. Actually, ginger snaps is out of character. Is probably what you were smelling.
Okay.
Is the ginger snaps. Because I love my gingers, so I gotta throw ginger snaps in there.
Pasha is going to she's gonna try and get the vendor's attention, and she's just like, "How much for one of everything?"
Oh, one of everything? Well, for you, milady, I am willing to part with a assortment box for only 10 silver.
Would Pasha haggle?
Why don't you... is there a equivalent to appraise to determine whether or not that's a high or low or reasonable price? I'm thinking. Is there like a market?
Perception, empathy.
I think that would be more like cunning.
Communication bargaining you could do.
Communication bargaining.
Communication bargaining is to actually bargain, but like to actually decide what value is this.
Cunning evaluation.
Cunning evaluation. Yeah, there you go.
Cunning evaluation.
Roll me a cunning evaluation.
I just have to roll a cunning then. That is
10.
11.
11? Alright. It sounds like it's a reasonable price, but you might think, I could probably get away with... It might not be unreasonable for me to try to haggle. Right. So, would she haggle?
I think she probably would.
Alright, go for it.
Okay. Communication roll?
Yep.
Okay. That is...
Ooh, 12, 14.
Is that
Right?
14?
No, that's a 12, but it's a 5-point stunt.
12, yeah.
And it's a 5-point stunt. Can you give me the gist of what you're...
She's saying, 10? Really, sir? I am a visitor in these lands. Surely you could make just a small discount for me. I'm buying a lot of your wares after all.
You have a point. And he says, I'll tell you what. I can sell this. I'll give you this set for 9 silver. If you're willing to, it's because it's the beginning of the day. If you're willing to spread the word a little bit of what you think about these cookies.
I find that acceptable, yes. And she'll hand over the 9 silver.
All right. So go ahead and remove 9 silver, and he will give you an assortment of. Basically, you now have a pound of cookies in your inventory. And they're all freshly baked. They're the ginger snaps in particular are warm, and some of them are like gooey. I think the ginger snaps are more crisp and crunchy. So some cookies are gooey and gooey, and some are crispy and crunchy. It's fascinating.
She's gonna take one, bite into it, and like her eyes kind of widen a little bit, and she's just like, Nathan, try these.
Are they? He'll go over and grab some. He'll grab a piece and he'll, crispy, perfectly baked, These are actually really good. I actually think getting them for 9 silver is a bit of a steal.
We have nothing like this in...
Seriously?
And she's just eating more. These are so good.
Oh, okay. Wow. What kind of desserts do they have then in Parvalin?
What is dessert?
Okay. Well, dessert is dessert is a part of a meal, normally at the very end, where you enjoy something sweet after consuming the main dish, the main entree.
We don't really do sweet things. We're more of a spicy kind of place. We don't really do dessert, as it is called.
Well, I guess in that case, enjoy. He says, and he sort of gives a little smile at the thought. For a moment there, I thought that you had a bit of a sweet tooth, but I guess.
I think I quite like dessert.
Okay. Well, here's a tip. You might not want to eat them too quickly, because eating too much of these at once might make you nauseous. Just warning you.
And she puts it back in her little box, and she closes the box. And for later, then. For later.
He kind of smiles and he says, "Oh, now that's where I want to go." Speaking of Sweet Tooth, and he will go over to a peddler. It's this one's a smaller. It's more like they have a cart more than an actual like whatever you call
Structure.
the
Stall.
Right, a stall. Instead of a stall, he has more of a cart, and I'm gonna say that this is probably it's human. Most of the people in these parts are humans. Most of them. It's probably going to be human, probably teenage girl, and you can see that she's got these more objects on a stick. Out of character, they're candied apples.
Okay.
And most of them, you have the standard caramel candied apple, but then you have a few that are like covered with like chocolate and nuts and things like that. And you're gonna see Nathan hovering over, and I'm gonna say that the while the peddler is trying to convince him to get like a half a dozen of these things, the peddler is gonna be like, "Say, you look familiar. Have I seen you from somewhere?" And I'm gonna say Nathan sort of looks up and says, "No, sorry, I can't say that I have. But I don't know. I'm from Ferelden, so maybe all of us Fereldens just look the same to you," he says, sort of smiling. And I'm gonna say the Antivan teenagers. It says, "Yeah, that might be it. Actually, that might be it."
Pasha, again, she'll go up. She's like standing next to him, just kind of eyeing these orbs of sugary goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's listening to this. She looks at Nathan with like a bit of a raised eyebrow, but she's not gonna say anything in front of the person. She's gonna wait until he steps away.
He'll notice that you're observing, and I guess he's gonna turn to you and he'll say, "So, I take it you probably don't know what these are either."
Well, they look like apples, but they have something on them.
Yes, so these are called candied apples. Again, I guess we just have an obsession with desserts sometimes. So basically, you take an apple, you put a stick on them, and you dip them in various sweet things like caramel, which is pretty much melted down sugar, chocolate, and various other toppings. And the stick sort of helps so that your hands don't get all sticky. Do you want to try one?
If you're offering.
Why don't I get one of the caramels and one of the chocolate dipped ones? And he's gonna go into his purse, which, by the way, looks like a very nice looking coin purse. Very nice. And then I think that the peddler notices that too, because peddlers are trained to notice these kind of things. And she'll proceed to try to be like, well, are you sure, sir, that you don't want to have more? Maybe for the rest of your family to bring home, blah, 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 blah. And he's just going to be like, oh, no, thank you. I appreciate the thought. No, thank you. So he'll have these 2 candied apples in front of him, and he'll hold them in front of you and says, so what are you feeling? Caramel or chocolate?
This chocolate sounds intriguing, and she'll take that one.
Okay.
And bite into it. And I think she doesn't realize that it's going to be sticky, so she's kind of like, ah.
Yeah. It's sticky, so it might feel a little uncomfortable to you, but you can't argue about the taste.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think you've ever had chocolate before.
This feels like deja vu.
It tastes like... Would Parvalin have something along the lines of coffee?
I can see they have
They probably
some
have coffee, yeah.
They probably have coffee. So it's almost like coffee, but better somehow. Somehow it's better.
She's eating and she's
Yes. These are great. When I was a little kid, these were pretty much my favorite. Kinda takes me back. And he'll bite into one. Gotta be careful though, especially with these guys, he says as his mouth is starting to get all sticky. Says, I sort of lost a tooth on one of these once.
I can see how you do that. I need to bring these back home. These...
Hey, he says, if you do, maybe you guys can put your own spicy spin to it too. Spiced apples. That could be a thing.
That could work. That could work.
You're gonna continue chomping, and then meanwhile, in the initiative order, we have Dartham. You are kind of hovering around the carousel area, and you're noticing that there's a lot of kids that are in line with their parents, trying to go around this object that just continually spins around, and it's got various creatures that you realize are more statues than actual creatures. So there's horses, there's like a hala, there's like a Mabari hound that one of the kids can ride on.
There's a bunch of dragons, those are like the premier ones.
Yeah, right. There's like some dragons, there's like a griffin, things like that. Maybe a bronto, but what do you do?
Well, Dartham was definitely attracted. I imagine there's a lot of like and like all these kind of crazy noises going on. With the steam power, if you will. So at first he was just like attracted by that. He was just going, huh? And he's kind of muttering like under his breath, going, what has been going on? And I know it's been a long time, but this is just ridiculous. And like fascinated. But as he's kind of looking at the carousel, there's I want to say there's probably a girl, probably like a teenager, and like late teens, and she's holding the hand of a little boy who's probably like 6 or 7 or something like that. And I kind of notice them, and they start to go up to one of the hala. As they go around, and I don't even need to. I can't hear them. I'm still like standing way off because I'm being as cautious as I can. But Dartham definitely takes a bit of time just to kind of. His stance softens a bit as he looks at those two, as he can see like maybe there's a bit of like cotton candy or something in the boy's hand, and then there's a bit like on his mouth, and then the girl like will wipe it off, and it's clear that they're both related. They're like brother and sister. And there's definitely like a pang in Dirtham's memory in his heart as he looks at that. And I mean, it's pretty boring compared to what we just had, but most of the time he would just spend no longer really focused on the carousel and just watching those two and just having a small smile on his face, watching them go around, seeing the boy laugh, seeing like as he almost falls off, seeing the girl catch him and put him back on, like right next to him.
You're going to observe this, and you're just going to have your nostalgic moment,
Yeah.
I suppose. And after a little bit of time passes by, you actually hear a voice from behind you, and maybe immediately you weren't thinking that the voice was directed at you, but maybe it's a girl's voice, repeats herself and says, "So, a bit of a kid of heart, I see?"
And he like startles and will spin around quickly.
You'll spin around quickly, and you're going to see a dwarf. It's a female dwarf. You would probably say is in her maybe 16, 17s of age, teenager
Okay.
dwarf, and she's dressed in relatively nice-looking clothes that are clearly not Antivan, very Ferelden, actually. And she says, "Come on, admit it. You want to ride on the Hala too, don't you?"
I was more curious about how the contraption worked.
As soon as you open your mouth, she sort of like tilts her head a little bit, as if she didn't expect the voice to be that.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like her face doesn't reveal any like weirdness to it. It's more like a
Yeah.
kind of curious thing. "Oh," she says, "it's actually powered by steam. I don't really know the complete inner workings to it, but my dad sort of explained to me about it once."
Curious. I've been a bit of a recluse, so it's interesting to see these new inventions.
"Really?" she says. "Recluse? You don't say." Especially with your brightly colored clothes there. Which are clearly not brightly colored.
He kind of looks down, and then there's probably a bit of the light will catch under the hood where she can see, like, it's not actually skin under where his face is, it's like bandages, like wrapped around, or like a cloth or something. So it's clear that every inch of him
Yeah.
is covered up.
Yeah.
But she hears the laugh.
Yes, I'm just a ray of sunshine, as you can see.
Well, she says, "You're in luck. Rays of sunshine like yourself fit in perfectly at a carnival, I would say.
I don't know, I'm a bit more unique isn't the right word, but it's not quite a good fit, I don't think.
Well, what brought you here then?"
Curiosity, wanderlust.
Curiosity? Oh, I know what that is. I know what that's like. Trust me. It's gotten to me in some trouble in the past. But it also has gotten me into some pretty cool opportunities too.
Curiosity is one of our sins and our greatest triumphs.
Oh, are you from the Chantry?
Oh, no.
She says, I thought perhaps maybe this is one of your traditional Chantry robes. I almost thought that you might be Navarin. Like one of those Mortalitasi? You're not a Mortalitasi, are you?
I'm afraid I don't know the term.
Oh, Mortalitasi, they're mages from the city of Navarra. Death mages, or I guess the technical term is necromancers.
Ah, yes, okay. I've heard of them. But no, I'm not. How about yourself? The accent. I think I recognize it as Ferelden. Is that how you say it?
Oh, is it really that obvious? Yeah, I'm from Ferelden.
That was a guess. It was between that and few others.
She kind of smiles a little bit, and she says, "My name is Rosie. Rosie saw me." And she holds out her hand.
I fucking knew it. He will like not hold out a hand, but he will give a bow instead. And it's a very like he can't help his slave training, so it's a very like almost formal bow. As he'll give it in proper respect to like a colleague.
Daretham. However, if you'll excuse me, I do have a bit of a skin condition.
Oh, she says, "What happened to you, if you don't mind me asking?"
I got a bit burned.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that. How long ago was that?
Oh, decades. I've been living with this for a long time.
Well, you have no need to apologize then.
Well, I know that it's a traditional greeting to shake one's other hand, but I'm a bit unable to do so.
Well, hopefully here in the place where water is not particularly, prevalent, hopefully it won't become a problem for you.
Yes, hopefully.
She's gonna look over at the carousel and says, "So, you just want to stand here, or do you want to try getting onto the steam-powered contraption?"
I think I'll just stay around this area if you don't mind.
Oh, alright.
The voice
No
tends
problem.
to, scare the little ones.
I don't see why that necessarily would be the case. I've met people with scarier voices than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like when I do something wrong and my dad scolds at me. Oh, yeah, that sends shivers up my spine sometimes.
The scolding of a parent is definitely up there. I know, especially when my wife would scold me. Oof. That was not the most pleasant day.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a wife, but I can imagine that. She
It's
says.
similar, a loved one who knows the words to say to hurt you.
Well, hopefully we won't have any of those issues out here in the carnival. Well, if you don't want to go right onto the carousel, what do you want to do?
He kind of just looks down at where he is.
I'm pretty comfortable right here.
Oh, okay, she says. And with that, she will, you thought that you might walk over to the carousel.
Yeah.
But instead, she just kind of stays put and just watches in the same direction that you're watching, and she just kind of stands there and doesn't say anything.
He'll wait for like half a minute or so, and then he'll look down.
You don't have to stay here. I'm sure this is incredibly boring.
Yeah, but I don't really have any friends here, so I think I'll just hang out.
Come on. You certainly have at least a few.
No, I came here by myself, actually.
Well, I'm sure with your personality you can make ones quite easily.
That's really nice of you to say. But, well, that's very nice of you to say, she says with a smile.
I do my best.
And I'll give a little, very small bow.
And with that, she's just going to continue staying put, and just going to follow your gaze, and
Yeah,
just
and
probably be really awkward to you.
Daretham will just be there, and like a few times he'll like open his mouth, though she can't see it because it's under the bandages, and will like try to say something, but just be like, I don't. Jeez, I've been in the deep roads too long.
But you don't walk away. You actually stay.
I ensure that there's a good like
6 feet distance
gap
6
between,
foot
but
gap.
maybe at one point I'll actually like get a little I'll be like lenient and I'll like sit down so that way we can both at least rest a little bit as we watch. And probably at that point the sister and the brother have gone off, but I imagine at this point there's probably a bunch of other kids that have a distinct similarity that I will keep wistfully looking at.
Okay. Rousseau, you are at the petting zoo, and I believe last session Balin said he really wanted to get onto the Bronto rides. So I think in order to ride the Bronto, that's going to probably cost you a single silver piece, I think, if that's what you're gonna let him do.
I'd imagine like we're walking up there, like I haven't piggybacked. And if he points out the Bronto to me, I'll like drop him down and go up to the guy. Excuse me, sir, my boy would like to ride your Bronto.
Oh, yes. So the person who is I guess manning the Bronto rides, this character. I don't know if you just saw something.
Yeah, I see him.
All right. So this is an elf who has Vaseline on his face, and he doesn't really say very much, but he will accept your coin and he'll nod, and he's the one who's actually like guiding the Bronto as the children are riding on it, and Balin's, as he's trying to wait really patiently, is just really excited. Because I've never seen Brontos up this close before.
Me and you both, son.
He says, there's all these animals here. I'm gonna say that probably where you live in Navarra, like, I don't think you have, like, very many
It'd be
zoos or anything along those lines. Yeah, I don't think you have very many zoos or anything. So, I feel like Balin in general is an animal lover. Maybe he's been asking for like a pet Mabari or something, but for whatever reason, like there hasn't been a proper time, finances, whatever, to have a Mabari.
So, what do you want to do after you ride the Bronto? There's so much here.
He says, I don't know, maybe go on one of the rides. I think there's a carousel.
Yeah, why not?
I'm gonna say that at this point, it's Balin's turn. The guy will like try to help him up onto the Bronto, and Balin is just gonna, he's just really bouncy and he's like really excited. And the handler is going to guide the Bronto, and I'm gonna say that at some point, Balin gets so excited that he jumps up and his foot actually like kicks out and hits the Bronto like on the side of the face, and then the Bronto kind of like reacts to this because it wasn't expecting it, and like he kind of bucks up, and then Balin starts to fall off of the Bronto.
I'm gonna dive in the pen to catch him.
All right, so your daddy reflexes start to kick in. Go ahead and roll a dexterity roll, because this is your child. I'm going to say that
this is life and death. Balin's neck is about to be cracked. Come on.
Take an advantage on this. Better of 2 rolls.
Okay.
Damn. 15.
And then 2.
15.
Okay, so 15.
All right. Yeah, so visually, what do we see? I would probably say that when this is happening, he's approximately 8 feet away from you.
I imagine there's like a fence, like where they have the Bronto over it. So like,
yeah.
I'm like chatting with somebody and like, oh, look at my boy, he's having such a good time. And like the Bronto goes up, and I'm like, oh shit. Then just start hopping over the fence. And I like try a dolphin dive over the fence and catch him in like the tips of my arms.
Yes. All right. When you grab him by the tips of your arms, I'm gonna say that Balin, like the color in his face probably receded, so he's a little white and pale. Like, oh my god, I just saw.
It's okay.
The light
okay,
flash over my eyes, kind of look. And the Beastmaster is going to be very apologetic as he's calming down the Bronto, because the Bronto is still in a bit of shock of just what happened. And I think Balin, like when he realizes that you've caught him, he starts clutching you, and I think he's gonna start to cry a little bit.
I'm just gonna kind of console him and lean up against the fence like, oh god damn it. Then just kind of like hold him tightly and be like, it's okay, I've got you.
I don't know what happened. He says, we were having so much fun and then it just threw me off.
Well, you gotta be really careful when you do these things. You have to realize these animals are very majestic and not used to us manipulating them.
Several of the other people in line are witnessing this, and I think one of the old lady will, in a very shrill voice, turn to the man and says, "Ah, these animals are dangerous. I want my money back." Yeah, several of the other people in line are like asking to have their money back.
I'm gonna basically approach and be like, it's okay. The animal just had a small reaction and no one got hurt. I assure you this man's very good at his job and would have been able to do the same thing I did had I not been there.
Roll a communication roll, please. Persuade, I guess, or diplomacy?
Persuasion, yeah.
I don't have that, so it's gonna be a flat commune.
You're a lawyer and you don't have that?
I'm working towards it.
Okay, we're working towards it.
Yeah,
Maybe that explains why Russo hasn't had very many
That's
customers
what?
yet.
That's
Many
18.
clients.
Dang.
Yes.
Oh, dang. All right.
This man is my representative. I will sue you.
That seems to ease the crowd a little bit. And with an 18, I'm going to say that nobody actually ends up leaving the line, and the words that you speak sound very reasonable. And I'm going to say that the Beastmaster, once his animal calms down, he actually approaches you, Russo, and the Beastmaster says, "You didn't have to stand up for me, but thank you. I appreciate that."
Well, we all just try to make an honest coin and mistakes happen.
I definitely am very grateful for your understanding. Bruno, he says, turning to the Bronto, he normally doesn't get very antsy. I think he was just taken by surprise.
If my son's up to it, could he finish his ride?
Your son actually kind of shakes his head like, I don't know if I want to get back
I'm
on.
gonna give him a look like, I'll guide him, I'm with you, be confident.
Alright, so you're trying to convince him to get back onto the Bronto?
Yeah, like face the fear.
But Dad, what if it happens again?
Well, things never go according to plan most of the time, and if you let things hold you down, you'll never stand tall.
Okay. He still looks very uneasy, but he says, "Can you walk next to me then, please?"
I'm gonna give a nod, and then slowly, as he's ready, put him up on the Bronto and hold the rope and give him the rest of the walk.
Yeah, you'll give him the rest of the walk, and I'm gonna say that he's still a little on edge, but he'll start to calm down a little bit. Not quite as up and bouncing and excited as he was before, but he does manage to end the ride in relatively seeming to feel a little better. And with that, he'll get off and he'll say, "I did it!
Yeah, you did.
High five!" Smack. He says, "Okay, can we go to the carousel now? Can we go on the rides now?"
Well, actually, I want to talk to this gentleman for a little bit. Would you mind playing with the nugs for a quick sec?
Oh boy! And I think he'll make his way towards the nugs, and probably there's gonna be an older lady who is working the nug stall.
And then if the Beastmaster has a sec, I'd just be like, "Hey, thanks for letting me finish the ride. I'm sorry about the whole scene." And I want to say that in Elven to him.
Okay, you'll say that, and he's actually quite shocked and surprised, and he'll respond back in Elven. "It's my pleasure. You speak the Elven tongue."
I'm gonna say back, yes, my mother was Elven. I'm a half-breed.
I see. That makes a lot of sense. Your son's cute.
Oh,
He's a cute kid.
thank you. He gets more adorable by the day.
And and he asks, so where did he come from, if you don't mind me asking?
I adopted
Because he
him.
clearly is not elf nor Canary, out of character.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm like a 6'5" tall guy with horns.
Yeah.
Pretty different. I'm just gonna say, I adopted him 6 years ago.
Really now? Well, I adopted Bruno around the same time as well.
And he's grown quite big.
I know that they may have had a very rough start, but seeing how they both are the same, at least adopted age, perhaps a play date might be in order, he says with a smile.
I'm gonna chuckle and be like, I think he'd enjoy that. And just so he has my information, I feel like I'd pull like a card out.
He takes the card and he looks at it, and then he says, "You're a lawyer."
Yes, I'm a law speaker. If I were Ferelden, they'd call me a Black Hall Tort. If I was Teventa Imperial Sentinel of the Law, I don't know my verbiage for other countries too good. But yes, you're right.
In Navarra, that place is interesting, she says.
It's a little dark most of the time these days, but what do you do?
He's gonna nod. And then, I'm gonna say at that point, the next person in line is ready to get onto the bronto. But he will nod at you and say, "Thank you very much, Mr. Alred."
Yeah, Russo Elren.
Thank you, Mr. Russo Elren. Enjoy the rest of the day.
I'll go to shake his hand before I leave and be like, before I go, can I have your name?
Athon. Beastmaster Athon.
Well, it was a pleasure to meet you, Athon. And then I'll give a nod and go pick up my boy so we can hit the carousel.
Daddy, can we have a nug, please? Please, Daddy, can we have a nug?
One moment you're asking for a hound, then it's the pony, now you want a nug. Balin, we need to make up our minds on this first.
But they're so cute. Look at them, and they're so small. I promise I'll take care of them. I promise.
I'll tell you what. You pass your classes this year, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. And he already has like a nug that he's, cuddling right now in his arms. All right. I guess it just wasn't meant to be, Pinky. As he puts the nug down.
I'm gonna very slowly take Pinky and be like, I'm so sorry, and just hand it back to the lady running the booth.
The lady, of course, is going to say, "Are you sure you don't want to have one of these fine nugs? They are bred very well and are very well trained."
I'm gonna look up, and then I'm gonna go to Balin and be like, "Are you sure you really want one, Balin?"
Yes, yeah, I really do want one, but out of character, that's what he said about all the other animals too. And out of character, you're pretty sure that this lady just wants to sell her nugs.
Yeah,
So, I mean, that's the other thing.
Okay.
So. She's probably going to go over and says, like, the Pinky, for example, Pinky was taken from a broken family, was abused, and...
It's at this point that I'm just gonna get a very stilted look on my face, like, okay, we're done here.
No, really. She said.
It's like Balin goes, please, and it's like the puppy eyes, and then Tommy just goes, no.
Daddy, what does abused mean?
I'll tell you in due time, son. And I'm basically just gonna. Is there a fee to play with the nugs, or is it just they're trying to sell them so you could pick them up and hang out with them?
It's basically it's a nug farm, so a petting farm, but you can also purchase them too. So it's a very clever, it's a clever marketing strategy. Try the merchandise and then see if you want to buy one, kind of thing.
Oh,
you should really take Balin over to number 3, because I know someone can tell you all about abuse.
Ooh. Uh, is she the master of them?
Narika is setting up her stall because she's about to sell some of her wares, and you can see the logo Payne's Practical Products emblazoned at the top. And while I'm gonna say that this whole area, like I said, has a whole slew of different merchants and shopkeepers. And there's actually over here in this direction is a stage where you can see like maybe some side acts are happening. And right now there's this very flourishy belly dancer girl, very cute belly dancer. She's got like these silk purple robes, and she's just kind of performing, and she's doing this very like hypnotic like dance that seems to be gathering up quite a crowd. And while this is happening, Narika is almost ready to open up her shop, and
I've been helping her out also with the whole like bring out stuff.
She's gonna mention, so I have to ask you something, Tyrion. It's more of a favor than anything else.
Now what?
You've been with us for quite some time, and you've been super helpful, especially patching people up here and there. I was just wondering if you were willing to help out a little bit more. Have you thought about show business at all? She says.
I'm putting on like a crate, and I'm just like opening it up, and I stop at the crate, like I'm holding the crate open, think for a bit, look at her. Show business. Can you actually tell me what that is? I honestly do not know the full interpretation of the word, unfortunately. Is it
show business? You know, putting on a show, putting on an act.
Like that? I point at the stage. That kind of point.
Exactly, she says. But you don't have to. You don't have to do that. I'm not sure if purple is your color.
No, I doubt that. Very much doubt that. I'd look like a princess then.
So I'm actually doing a favor for a friend. The Bruno brothers weren't really sure if you would say yes to this, but I was just curious if you would be willing to help them out with one of their acts tonight on stage.
An act tonight for their stage. I kind of think for a bit. Well, I've been here for a bit, so I guess I should at least help more in whatever way I can. But, yeah, what do they entail? Is it like throwing knives? Is it belly? Is it like just throwing each other around?
Yes. So, as you know, for the last several weeks, you of all people would know this, Dry has been trying very hard to practice his throwing knife routine, and well, Tumble and Spin, they would very much appreciate somebody else other than Dry to attempt these techniques. Now, it's been very good job security for you.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would rather not see any more injuries upon my table and I have to take care of it. So yeah, I'll consider it. And you can tell them that I'll be there.
She looks surprised by this. Wow, really? I honestly didn't think you would say yes.
I chuckle a bit. Well, I have been trying to get my at least practice out of the way, and I'm feeling a little bit rusty. So it's a good way to help out a bit. Also, we don't want any more injuries again. And Dry has been drying himself out with those throwing knives. So, don't get it? No?
No, I got it. I just didn't want it. Narika says with a chuckle. She's like teasing you, gives you a chuckle.
I kind of just laugh for a bit. Sorry, my humor sometimes gets in the way. Oh yeah, I've never actually asked you this, but what do you actually sell? Is it paint?
Paint?
Looks like that. Or is it something else? My apologies.
She says we sell a lot of things actually. Pretty much a general store or shop of things. Many of which are household items. We do sell some adventuring items. We sell a few potions here and there. And the occasional magic items. Although as of late, I haven't had very many of those. But sometimes I may acquire some from time to time to sell.
And is it more like you find these items, or do you purchase some of them when you need to? What's the process like?
So we do have some suppliers who provide a lot of our wares, and they get distributed to the merchants, and we do end up selling them as a middle person, I suppose. And sometimes, as I'm traveling with these fine folks, I might find a few items that I might refurbish a bit.
Refurbish? Take quite good care for the items you sell, it seems, though.
Well, thank you. I do try. To be perfectly honest, I've only been at this for the last year or so, give or take. I'm still learning.
We all try to learn our trades. I started, about a year ago almost, when I started out wandering and helping people, so... I don't...
Yes! What again got you into the medical field?
Kind of when I was young, I would read a lot about the anatomy and stuff like that. I had too much time on my hands to read stuff, and I spent time reading about anatomies and stuff like that. And I've heard about these things going on in recent years. The most problematic issues that have been going on. People sometimes get injured. People get unlucky in certain situations, and there's no one around to help that much. So when I finally managed to get out of winter, so to speak, and go out traveling about, I decided to devote my life to helping those for really nothing. Just I'm a benevolent person. What can I say?
Really? You don't charge anything?
I do not charge much. Let's say that. Supplies, unfortunately, bandages and supplies are costly, which I find odd. And the Chantry, I don't think they see eye to eye with me. Probably because of these. I point at my elven ears. My guess. So
I can see that, she says.
Yeah, but hey, it's from what I've heard, though, people would rather trust the doctor than a mage healer. Apparently, I don't even know why. I think mage healers are probably better than me, skill-wise.
Well, there is a bit of a stigma with mages, regardless of whether they heal or not.
Yeah.
What do you think of the mage situation, just out of curiosity, then?
Just in general, like them staying in the circles and all that? Those old tales?
Yes. Since we've reached the subject, yes, I'm curious.
To be honest, I mean, I've been into Winter for a bit, so there it's free city over there for mages, but I find that I don't understand why. What's the reason of keeping these mages in circles other than, training them? I mean, what's the point? What are they gonna do? They're gonna stay in the single building for the rest of their lives until they grow old and die and have a tombstone for themselves? I find it odd. They should, at least they should get some freedom. Is it true that mages get taken away?
Well, yes. At least in some parts of the world, they do. And when they find out that a child is manifesting magic, they get sent off to circles. But like you said, in areas like Intervinter, that custom is not really practiced.
Tyrion kind of looks a bit. It's just odd, you know. It just feels different. Yeah, I mean, we know Intervinter how they're like with treating particular race, and kind of feels like that. Of course, it's probably not as bad as that, but still, people should get some freedom, at least of something. I don't know what happened in Circle until I ever visit one, but I doubt they'll allow me in, probably. Unless one of their mages accidentally blows up a workshop or whatever they have in there. Doubt that.
Given your feelings about the topic, you must think highly of Archon Calpurnia. Archon Calpurnia is the Archon who succeeded Archon Redonis, because if you know from Season 2, thanks to the Season 2 cast, Redonis was pretty much he wasn't killed, worse than death. He was humiliated publicly amongst his colleagues for, was it tax fraud? It was something ridiculous like that. Some sort of fraud. And so... I'm
sorry, Archon who, Ark?
Archon Calpurnia, as in Calpurnia from Dragon Age Inquisition. And some really interesting things about Archon Calpurnia, which has caused quite a stir. She has some very radical ideas. The backstory for Calpurnia in the canon is a little bit different from the Calpurnia in this one, but I will say that one of the similarities is that Calpurnia does genuinely want to try to make Tevinter great again. And there are rumors, although she has not officially said anything, but based on a lot of interviews isn't the correct way to put it, but with some of the political...
and all that kind of stuff.
Right. A lot of the political meetings and conversations that she's had, one of the things in her agenda is she actually is trying to abolish slavery in Tevinter, which is very controversial. Super controversial. And very bold of her to try to do. But again, she hasn't officially said that, but it's more like, if you're reading between the lines, you kind of see that is where she stands. And so I'm going to say that Tyrion is aware of all this. So how do you respond when, I guess, Narika says, you must think highly of Calpurnia then?
I've heard of her, yes. I think she's trying to do quite a big thing, and one I do have to say I approve of, but unfortunately, with the Magisters and with the whole system that's going on with Tevinter, she's got to have lots of people to know to do something like that.
I imagine she also has a lot of enemies, which is why she played her first couple of years as the Archon relatively smartly. I don't think she was trying to rock any boats, at least at first, and was trying to garner favor. Given her background, she seemed to appeal to the general public, middle-class citizens of Tevinter, and rose to popularity very quickly. So, out of character, I kind of see Calpurnia as sort of like the Obama of Tevinter, where she just kind of came from nowhere. Like, people didn't really know who she was. But then somehow she just seemed to gain a lot of popularity and a lot of traction, and people like believed in, because she's super different from Archons prior, because a lot of people, I think, that there is a stigma about Archons and just Magisters in general in Tevinter, but she actually seems like a relatively quote-unquote reasonable Archon, and that seems to scare a lot of the higher, like, Magisters a lot.
How scared was Amarin when in terms of this whole ordeal happened, actually?
I would probably say that, given how Amarin is so pompous, and I feel like he never took Calpurnia seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think he ever respected her fully as an Archon, and I think you might even, you wouldn't even put it past him that he might be in cahoots with an underground set of magisters that are rumored to have a vendetta against Calpurnia and might want to assassinate her. Might want to assassinate Calpurnia.